You're listening to episode 6 of the Product Boss podcast. In this episode, Jacqueline talks about her year of experts. This is actually the audio of a Facebook Live Jacqueline did just a few days ago, and I love the content so much, I decided to also share it on our podcast. For these little shorter mini-sodes of just myself or Jacqueline talking, we decided to have a little more fun and title these little episodes accordingly. My mini-sodes are called Mina-sodes, and Jacqueline's are called Just Jack. For those of you who are fellow Will and Grace watchers, I know that you get the reference. And for those of you who listened to episode 3 of the podcast where I interviewed Jacqueline, I almost had her convinced to title hers Jackie's Wacky Episodes, but she decided against it. But nonetheless, these little episodes are so awesome, and I know that you'll love this one where Jacqueline goes over the experts she hired this past year and her takeaways from those experiences. So let's get started. Welcome to the Product Boss podcast, where we help product-based businesses grow their sales and improve their strategies.
Hey everyone, I want to introduce you to my co-host and biz bestie, Mina Kunlo-Sita, an Amazon guru that has built a multi-six-figure product-based business.
And introducing the other half of the Product Boss, Jacqueline Snyder. She has helped launch and grow over 500 fashion apparel and accessory brands, even one of her own.
And together, we share our inventory of secret weapons that will help you dig deep and do the work it takes.
Are you ready? Let's build together.
Hey everyone, Jacqueline here from the Product Boss, and I wanted to do a little episode today just with you. So I've decided I'm going to call my episodes Just Jacqueline episodes. Get it? I think my humor is way funnier than you probably do. So today I wanted to talk about a year of experts and 5 key takeaways that I've taken from that. So what I dubbed 2017 is it was my year of experts. I had my business for 10 years and never ever did I work with a consultant, a coach, a business coach. I never worked with an expert. I would call on friends that had experience in other places, but I personally had never paid and hired anyone, even though I myself was a consultant and people were paying and hiring me. Now, my friend Mina, your host of the Product Boss, likes to say that what takes you from 5 figures to 6 figures and what takes you from 6 figures to 7 figures is different. You may be able to get to 5 figures on your own. You may be able to get to 6 figures on your own. But that leap between 6 and 7 figures is great, and you have to scale, and you need the staff, and your expenses grow, and your business changes, the staff changes. And so that's something that I was coming to last year is my 10th year, and never ever did I think that it was going to be such a hard year. I thought, oh my God, I'm making it to my 10th year. This is going to be great. But my clients were doing so well. My clients are huge. They were doing amazing things in my eyes. I'm so proud of them. And they were doing such a great job that they were really taking a lot of my resources, the resources that I had for my clients before, when I could have 15, 16 clients at one time. Instead, at that point, I had less than that. I kind of really niched down and had about half the amount of clients because the scale of work was so great. And the level of clients that I worked with was so great. And it was fantastic. But it shifted. It shifted the business. And so I needed help. And that's when I reached out and started working with consultants of my own to talk about what I was doing in my business and what was happening and what needed to change. So I dubbed it the Year of Experts because I worked with 2 consultants last year, one on productivity and one as a business coach. I took some online courses, which I had never really done other than B-School. And so a shout out to BizChicks community and Natalie Ekdahl as I worked one-on-one with her. And then I also worked with Natalie Gingrich. So I've got the 2 Nats on my team. And Natalie Gingrich helped me with scaling, with project management, and actually with HR. So more or less staffing, who I needed on my team and how to staff up. And then I took some online courses, teaching myself about YouTube and like starting a YouTube channel, a few things like that. It was really a discovery year. And that's what I wanted to chat with you about. Do you need an expert? Do you need someone to help you with your business? So the key takeaways, the 5 key takeaways that I found were from working with experts. It was 1 was accountability, 2, clarity, 3, mindset, 4, discovering new processes, and 5, I figured out how to fast track to success. So let's dig in and start talking about each of these. So talking about accountability as the first key takeaway that I had from working with experts. As an entrepreneur, you are operating on this island by yourself. Sometimes it feels like that. No one's telling you to stay late. Nobody's telling you to work, through your weekends. You're completely on your own when you are an entrepreneur. And it's up to you and your drive on how much work you decide to put into it. At the same time, you may put a lot on your plate. You may overload your plate. It's like Thanksgiving dinner when you just see everything and you want everything on your plate and you look at it and go, oh my God, this is so much food. I would never eat this much food if it was a normal day. So you might do that in work. You might just keep filling up your plate, but you're never going to finish it. You're never going to finish that plate. And you're going to stuff yourself full and not finish and kind of look at me like, oh my God, I wasted food. It's the same thing with the work loads that you take on. So Mina and I talk a lot about what you can do, strategizing your timeline, what to focus on, and it's sort of the same thing. So coming up with these big ideas, sitting down for a strategy session with an expert, aligning yourself to 1 to 3 big goals that you have, and then having someone hold you accountable, checking in with you and saying, hey, did you get this done? Where do you need help? And that's the same thing that you'll also get from a mastermind. Masterminds are also a group of people that hold you accountable to your big goals and also help you get you there. So I'd say that's my takeaway. 1 is accountability. Moving on, the other one is clarity. So clarity was my keyword for 2018, and that's something that experts will help you get to. They can't make it clear for you, but they can ask you the questions to help you find the clarity you're looking for. They can say to you, oftentimes they'll say to me, what I think you're saying is, or if I understood what you're saying, and they repeat it back. And by having an expert or a friend or accountability partner repeat it back to you, it helps clarify for you what you're saying. It takes all of those ideas jumbled in your head and helps you put it into one concise thought, and then you could create a plan of action around that. So I would say the clarity aspect for me was it wasn't clear initially, and it took me a year to get clear. And so that's something as a product business or just as a business owner, you will work on figuring out certain parts. Do you launch a new product? Are you attracting the right customer? Are you selling on the right platforms? All of these things you need to get really clear on, and you'll only know that by going through it. So while you're in it, you're not sure, but when you get there and you look back, you'll identify what worked for you. And so that was my year. It was figuring out my customers, my business, what I wanted to do, launching the Product Boss with Mina, and all of these things came together that now in hindsight, I look back and think all the work that I did to get me here got me here. And I finally found the clarity, that crystal clear ocean. It's like when you're in Hawaii and you wake up and the sunrise is coming over the water and it's just beautiful and you can see for miles and miles. That was attained by having these experts really help me clear the fog, clear the mess, and figure out what I needed to do next. So the next key takeaway from working with an expert is mindset. We all have mindset issues. We all have imposter syndrome. We all think the grass is greener. It happens at some point. We live in a world of social media where we are able to compare ourselves to somebody else's perfect day because we don't post the bad days. We post the good days. We post the adorable picture of our kids, not the one where your kid is throwing a tantrum, unless it's super hilarious, and then you might. So when we're talking about your mindset, we all get into that route where you maybe aren't clear. You don't know if the sun's going to shine again. You don't know if there's a rainbow after the storm. You are not sure how you'll ever get there. But that mindset is so important to keep you pushing forward, to keep you driving on. As an entrepreneur, we constantly have to pick ourselves back up. We constantly have to pat ourselves on the back, dust off our shoulders and say, okay, we're going to do it again. We're going to try it again in a different way. So getting really clear on mindset. And it's kind of like if you get in an argument with your spouse or your parents, and it's like a reoccurring argument, for example. It's really hard to get out of that spiral. That same argument, same argument. It's the same with yourself as an entrepreneur. When you're in it, sometimes it's hard to pull yourself out of it. So that mindset, that even that ability to think, can I go from 6 figures to 7 figures? Can I have a business? Do you feel strong enough doing that? Do you think that you confidently could be the CEO of a huge company? Do you think you could sell your business to another big business? Those are mindset issues. I'm telling you, you can. You've gotten this far. You can do so much. You can do so much. You are an entrepreneur. You are amazing. So just know that some of these mindset issues will come up, and you might just want to put a little reminder for yourself on your workspace, at your computer. Take some time to meditate on it. And whatever that is that you're saying to yourself, find an affirmation or find something to pull you out of it. Find a friend. Find someone. An expert is there as well to help you shift your mindset. So in working with experts, I also figured out new processes. So that would be my 1, 2, 3, 4th takeaway, and new processes. As entrepreneurs, we probably figure a lot of stuff out on our own. It's easier now because there's the internet. There's so much to research. People are people share more with YouTube and with blogs and whatnot. But when I started my business, I just started it. I created my own schedule. I figured out my own system. I mean, as entrepreneurs, we're more or less inventing something. We're inventing our own company or business. I mean, oftentimes, if you're going to run a bakery, you're running a bakery, but there's systems and things you might do in your bakery that are different than somebody else's. But we are figuring these things out. And you do things the way you do them until someone shares with you a new way of doing something. So maybe even making eggs the same way your whole life. Someone shows you this really cool way to scramble them, and then you do it in that new and different way. And you're like, holy moly, this is awesome. I'm only ever going to make eggs this way for the rest of my life. And so my analogies are just so awesome, I gotta say. So with that, with working with these experts, they are experts at other parts of their business. So by working with a project management expert, she had a different way to organize her weeks or her quarters and to strategize. I may have organized my year, my goals, my quarters differently than her. By learning her processes, I'm able to implement those, see if they work for my business, and combine the two. So maybe some of mine and some of hers goes together. So having that ability, it's an education. So these new processes are an education. An expert I was treating it like as if I was going back to grad school or going to some sort of specialty school where I'm learning. I'm getting my MBA in business. Things that I need to know that are real time that I can apply to my business because I'm already in it. I already have business knowledge. Like the finite way of making your business better. The little things you could add because you're in it and you know what you need to improve it. And so working with them is really helpful for that. And last but not least, a fast track to success. So the fast track to success is basically by working with these experts, it minimized my learning curve. So by minimizing my learning curve, I was able to fast track to these decisions. I made quick decisions. I was able to implement those decisions. I was able to be accountable to those decisions and make them, act on them, and see what happened by acting on them. So I want to thank you again for joining the Just Jack solo episode for the Product Boss. I attempted to do this Facebook Live at the same time as recording the podcast, so hopefully all the audio worked out. But I just want to thank you again for being here, and we will talk to you next week. Thanks again. Bye.
Loved this episode of the Product Boss podcast? Head over to iTunes to subscribe, rate, and leave a review. We would so appreciate it.
All right, product bosses, let's make it happen.